as a news consumer, what I'm getting on Facebook is going to be different from what I'm expecting on the television. The facts don't change, the journalism doesn't change, but the way that information is delivered to me does change. And we have to be good enough to do that. Each one of our employees has to be good enough to do that. They have to understand what the needs of each individual medium is and modify the piece of information to go out over that.
The single biggest mistake that we're still making with a lot of our digital products is that we're treating them like a DVR for our videos that already played in the 6 o'clock news, or a table of contents of stories that, quite frankly, they've already heard about several times throughout the day on other sources, or we've already told them in a newscast. And we've got to break that mentality. It's got to become a news in progress tool, being, our websites or our mobile sites, and update.
And so when we're writing a Facebook post or a tweet, or we're thinking about how we're going to handle something online that we've just put on television, we cannot lose sight of the fact that while this technology is important, it's the journalism that keeps people coming back. And it's the journalism that our communities rely on in order to make the decisions, the very important decisions they make that affect their lives.
You've really got to retrain some of the reporters. You've got to retrain pretty much everybody in the station to understand that our deadlines have changed. How can we get that story in social, and what should the deadline be for that? How can we make that live on our .com and mobile? How's that story going to unfold throughout the day, and what should those deadlines be? Well, you have to be very intentional. You have to say, we're not just trying to tell a minute 10 story for television. We want to have smaller stories throughout the day on our .com and our mobile site about this ongoing story as it evolves throughout the day. And then when you're done with the story on television, you're not done. We're going to be able to use a lot of the materials that help to make that story into a story that might have a longer shelf life. You're going to have the same brand on all the platforms, whether it's television, traditional online, or mobile, or social. I mean, your brand is still your brand. It's top of mind thoughts that people have about your news product. But obviously people use the platforms differently. So you've got to then anticipate how they use those platforms differently, and then you've got to adapt to that.
Potentially on Facebook or Twitter, you have a chance to talk to people who aren't watching your news or watching any news, and trying to give them reasons to come to your website, which leads to page views, which leads to revenue, or come to your television station, which leads to viewers, which leads to ratings.
Let's think of these platforms as opportunities to inform, opportunities to build our brand, opportunities to market what we do, and opportunities to introduce advertisers to how good we are at each of these different media.
In the end, if we want to produce great journalism and continue to staff our newsrooms adequately, we have to be in a position that we are in a profitable business. That's a part of it. And that's why we want to do these things, so we continue to have the resources we need in our newsrooms to do the job we need to do.